Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and today we got some more Washington Commanders quarterback rumors, and in today's video I will be reacting to the report from Aaron Wilson that the Washington Commanders are one of the few teams still interested in trading for Deshaun Watson despite all of the allegations against him. So we're going to talk about that, the likelihood of Washington trading for him, how much it would take, and much more. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. I'm so close to 7,000 subscribers, so please help me get there. Also hit that like button and turn on those notifications so you never miss a video, and follow my Twitter. I'm close to 1,000 followers on there. Now let's get right into the video. And this isn't even any major news. I mean, we know that the Washington Commanders are trying their best to try to look at all the different quarterback options because they know they need an upgrade at the quarterback position. They like Taylor Heinicke, but they don't view him as a franchise quarterback. They view him as a really high-end backup that if they need him for a few games, he's going to ball out for them because he has the respect in the locker room and he can make some plays. We've seen that, but they know they need an upgrade at the quarterback position, and we've heard all the different names this offseason about them looking around for guys. I mean, last week on Friday, Ian Rappaport reported that the Washington Commanders made a really strong offer to the Seahawks for quarterback Russell Wilson. We heard some other quarterbacks as well, and yesterday, Aaron Wilson reported that the Washington Commanders are one of the teams that are interested in Deshaun Watson, and this one's a little bit different because, of course, Deshaun Watson's situation is very interesting, and it's a delicate situation because he has so many allegations against him, and those won't get resolved until after free agency. So some teams will already have committed to a quarterback in free agency or made a trade with a QB, maybe someone like Jimmy G, and they'll be off the table. But Deshaun Watson, if he does get traded, it'll likely be around draft time. So let me read this right here from Aaron Wilson, who is a trusted source. I think he has over 60K followers, and the Pro Football Network is another trusted source as well. So I'll read it right here. Who is interested in Deshaun Watson? He said, the Washington Commanders and Carolina Panthers remain interested in Washington per league sources. The Philadelphia Eagles general manager, Harry Roseman, has conducted significant due diligence on Watson, even sending an investigator to Houston to look into the legal situation and contacting Rusty Hardin, Watson's attorney, per sources. And then you guys see the rest. However, Watson has never been inclined to waive his no-trade clause for the Eagles. Moreover, Philadelphia has committed to Jalen Hurts as their quarterback. So, I mean, that's an interesting thing right there because the Eagles would be a huge, if, let's say Deshaun Watson does get cleared and, there's not any significant punishment for him by the NFL, well, the Eagles would be one of the main competitors that the Washington Commanders would have because they could, Jalen Hurts is okay, but Deshaun Watson is obviously better, and, they have way more capital than us. They have 3 first-round picks just this year that they could trade. I mean, we do have a higher one at 11, but I believe they have pick 15, 16, and 19, so they have a lot of draft capital that they could use to try to get Deshaun Watson. And I mean, if they aren't going to get him, or if Watson declines to waive his no trade clause there, then that eliminates one of the competitors. But you also have to think that, I mean, Washington, who knows if Deshaun Watson even waives his no-trade clause to Washington, because going back to a few months ago, I think John Keim reported, he said up to this point, Deshaun Watson would not waive his no-trade clause to come to Washington. That could, of course, change, or that could already have changed with, his situation being very fluid and changing all the time, and maybe his perception of Washington changing. And I think, once the new league year starts and everything, maybe Ron Rivera, if everything gets cleared with Watson, he'll have some conversations with him, try to convince him to come here. But that's one of the biggest hurdles. Not only all the legal troubles that Deshaun Watson has, but also if he even wants to come here. And I mean, he really wants to get out of Houston, and if he doesn't want to come here after really wanting to get out of Houston, that would be kind of embarrassing for Washington. But it is what it is. And I mean, it's another thing with him is if we do trade him, even if he is, all those allegations are cleared, it's going to be a PR hit for Washington. And I mean, I guess they're always in the news for bad reasons, so it won't be a huge deal, but still, nonetheless, they're going to get crucified by the media, which, is a usual thing for them. So maybe it won't be that big of a deal. But nonetheless, I think that Washington needs to be prepared for, if they do trade for Deshaun Watson, to be ready to defend themselves. Like, I think what, they wrote in the article, Aaron Wilson wrote in the article about Philadelphia sending a private investigator. Like, I think Washington needs to do that a ton, a bunch of those types of things, so that when they do trade for him, they can not only point to the law for clearing him or whatever, but they can also point to, their investigators, finding nothing wrong. And if their investigators do find something wrong, then maybe they shouldn't trade for him, because you don't want a person like that in your organization. But I think that's what they need to do. Tanya Snyder is going to have to speak a ton, because, I mean, we all know what Washington's organization, has been crucified for the last few years in terms of like the workplace environment and everything that's gone, on there. And it's a similar situation with Watson. Again, a lot of them they're all allegations. He hasn't been proven guilty or anything yet. So we'll see what happens. I think April 1st is when things start to go down, and we'll get a better idea of his situation. But if he is cleared, we all know that there's still people going to be doubting him. So I think that Washington needs to be ready for that and have some, do what the Philadelphia Eagles did as well. And then now, I mean, just talking about the player real quick, I think we all know how good of a player Deshaun Watson is. I mean, I think in 2020, he was a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. You look at his stats, played in all 16 games, had a 70% completion percentage, led the league in passing yards, 4,823 yards, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and had a pass rating of 112.4. And he did not have he was not in a very good situation in Houston. They only won 4 games, but that wasn't because of him. They didn't have a good defense, really didn't have any great running backs. They had one good receiver in Brandon Cooks, but besides that, did not have much to work with. And before that, 3 years before that, I believe they made the playoffs every single year, or maybe they missed the playoffs one of those years. But I mean, before, Deshaun Watson has been known to have good leadership. Maybe some of that's comes into question now with everything that's going on with him. He's also under contract for another 4 years at a reasonable contract. His cap hit, it might seem like a lot right now, but in a few years, it's not going to look like much at all. So his cap hit in 2022 is 40 mil, then 42 mil, then 37, and then 32 million. So under contract for 4 years, and the cap is going to go up a lot in the next couple years. So, the salary cap. So a lot of quarterbacks in the next year or two are going to surpass him, and it's not going to look like a bad contract then, and it's not even looking like a bad contract now if he was playing. But of course, he is not playing right now, but Aaron Rodgers is going to get a big deal. Derek Carr is going to get a deal similar to Deshaun Watson's, which is crazy. Lamar Jackson's probably going to get a deal done soon. Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert in a couple years. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks that are coming up soon. So this contract is not going to look bad at all. It's going to look great. So you look at another thing about Deshaun Watson, he's a running threat as well, which we know Ron Rivera likes. And 2020, 444 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. 2019, 400 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns. And in 2018 had 550 yards. And he doesn't have that much of an injury history. 2017, though, did tear his ACL. But besides that, he's been relatively healthy. So, I mean, and he hasn't really lost too many fumbles. 2019, though, did have 10 fumbles and lost 3 of them. So, we'll see. But that's not a big issue to me at all. He's a great quarterback. The biggest issues with him are obviously the allegations, and then how much are you going to give up for him? I think it's going to cost a minimum of 3 first-round picks unless you throw in an elite player like Chase Young, which I don't think they're going to do. So you say at a minimum 3 first-round picks. That's what would be my initial offer. If they say no to that, then I'll be like, okay, I'll throw in, I'll ask them for a counter and really ask what they're looking for, and then I'll probably throw in like 3 first-round, and if they're asking for a player in return, I'll give them the choice between Deron Payne and Montez Sweat. Of course, I like both of those players, and I might like one over the other, but it's worth it giving up one of those guys for Deshaun Watson if he is cleared. That's the key. Whenever I say I want him, it's if he's cleared, because if he's not, don't want him here. I mean, there's just no other way to put it, because he could be suspended for 2 years or whatever. We just don't know. So that's just something with Deshaun Watson where we're going to have to give up a ton. It's going to be 3 first-round picks and likely a player or 2. And I would say I'll give you 1 player on the D-line. That's what I would say to the Texans. Either Deron Payne or Montez Sweat. And then I'll give you another defensive player that's not named Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, or Cameron Curl. And I would, and there's not any amazing players out there still left, but there's some players that could definitely help him out. If they want Cole Holcomb, go ahead. If they want, Kendall Fuller, William Jackson, go ahead. If they somehow want Landon Collins, even if they want Jamin Davis, of course, a lot of those players I don't want to give up. But if it means I get Deshaun Watson when he's cleared, I would 100% give those guys up. So that's 2 players, 3 first-round picks, and then I would give up like a mid-round pick or 2. That would kind of be my final offer. And I know that seems like a lot, but trust me, if we get Deshaun Watson and he's good to go, that is worth it, because our offense is going to be intact. We didn't have to give up any pieces. Our offense is going to be good. You might still have to fill a couple holes, but Deshaun Watson is going to make you look better. Make your offense look better, and people want to come here for cheaper than normal. And then your defense, yes, you gave up one of your interior guys, but or maybe it's Montez Sweat. But you'll have, if you give up Deron Payne, you have Ioannidis or maybe Tim Settle back if you trade Deron Payne. And then on the edge, if they do trade Montez Sweat, then I would say edge becomes one of our number 1 priorities. And I would look at that in the 2nd round of the draft, because we're not going to be able to get one in the first. And this edge class is somewhat deep in the first few rounds. There's some really good players that they can get, but that is something definitely to monitor if you are Washington. And something else here, it's just kind of confirming that they are interested in Deshaun Watson, just from a different source. This is from Jeremy Fowler. He said, Washington general manager Martin Mayhew said his club has talked to any team that might have an available quarterback. I asked the team source about this and was told that's a fair to take at face value. Let's see. The Commanders are looking everywhere from Russell Wilson to Deshaun Watson. So that is kind of, again, another source kind of saying that they're looking everywhere, and Deshaun Watson, despite the allegations, is one of those guys. So whether you like it or not, let me know down below in the comments section, how much are you willing to give up for Deshaun Watson? I kind of laid it out there, but I might even be willing to give up more if it means Deshaun Watson is the quarterback for my team, because if he is, I think we will be able to be a contender and probably like the 3rd best team. If you look at it, if we get Deshaun Watson, I would rank the Packers ahead of us if Rodgers returns, and the Rams. But after that, I would say we're right there. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. Peace.